Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. Hope you all are doing well. We're back in the garage working on the EG once again. I know you guys haven't seen this thing in a long time, but if you guys are new to the channel, yes, I have an EG, and today we're gonna be installing a fire suppression system. Now this is something that I should have done a long time ago, but right now it is an absolute requirement. Again, if you guys are new to the channel, I'm going to comp school at the end of March, so I need to be able to take the green flag in an endurance race with NASA. It's their Trek race. It's only about 4 hours long, but I only need to be driving for about 45 minutes of it. But because I'm going to be in an actual wheel-to-wheel environment, the car needs to be a properly prepped race car with fire suppression, window net, all the safety stuff. But right now we are about a month out from comp school. Comp school is gonna happen at the National Corvette Museum, so NCM Motorsports Park, one of my favorite tracks, also one of the tracks that I did have an accident in this car with. So with that said, I'm gonna go ahead and talk a little bit about the fire suppression system kit that I got, and a little bit how I think I'm going to route all the lines and mounting the fire bottle. But first, I need to get a bunch of this crap out of my car. I've got car cover in there. I'm gonna be removing the passenger seat as well. But before I go any further, I'll go ahead and show you guys the kit. All right, so the kit that I opted to get is the Lifeline 2020 mechanical. It is an ABF foam kit, about 3 liters in this fire bottle here. It's got 2 pull cables. These are the clamps that are going to secure the fire bottle to the bracket, which is what it's sitting on right now. Comes with this kit of nozzles. We've got 5 in there. There's gonna be 2 pointed at me inside the cabin, and then 3 are gonna be in the engine bay. I'll show you guys how I'm thinking about routing those or mounting those inside the engine bay in a second here. And then I've got some fireproof sleeving, which is gonna go over the actual lines that are gonna run to the nozzles. And then I did get some aluminum plating to help reinforce the install of the bracket here. Those are basically gonna go under the car. They're gonna have holes drilled in it, and then bolts are gonna come up through from the top. And the chassis itself is gonna be sandwiched between the aluminum plate and the bracket down here. Now I also did make this bracket out of aluminum here. You can see these 2 holes at the bottom here, and this main larger hole is gonna be for one of these pull cables. I've got 2 of them. This one is going to be utilizing this bracket to be mounted in the center console where I can reach with my belts fully tightened. And then the second one is gonna be mounted onto the passenger side. I'm thinking somewhere along this B pillar area right here. That way, for example, if I somehow get into an accident and my driver's side is pinned up against the wall and I, may be unconscious where I can't pull the cable to extinguish the fire that's in the car while I'm knocked out, I'm gonna have an E-sticker placed right here on the window close to where the actual pull cable is gonna be. That's a universal symbol that says that there's a pull cable or an electronic switch that's gonna activate the fire suppression system. So if safety gets up here, they see I'm knocked out, the car's on fire, they can look at here and know that there's a pull cable here, reach in and pull it for me. And again, that first one is gonna be right down there by the shifter, utilizing that bracket so that I can just reach over and pull that if I ever need to. Now for the nozzles, I'm thinking about utilizing the space under the wiper cowl here to route some of the lines. I'm gonna put one of the nozzles probably right here on the shock tower. These nozzles do have an 80-degree conical spray pattern, so that's pretty decent coverage. I'm gonna have the nozzle here pointed that way so that it could hit the fuel filter, the fuel rail, and everything on this side of the engine. I've got, the VTEC oil pressure line on this side too. So oil fire, fuel fire, hopefully this nozzle right here will take care of that. Or anything that happens over there. And then basically, if I mirrored that nozzle over here on this strut tower, then this nozzle over here could then point at, again, the fuel rail, pressure regulator, everything back here. And a third one's gonna come down. I'm gonna mount it. There's a hole down there. It's a little dark. Yeah, right there. You can see it. It's gonna point right at the header. So if there's a oil fire that's on the header, that nozzle there will take care of anything up here. And then 2 more are gonna be in the passenger cabin pointed at me. I don't know exactly where I'm gonna mount those quite yet, but once I get all this crap out of the car, I can have a better visual and a better idea of where I'm gonna put those. But basically I'm gonna have one pointed at my feet, and then I'm gonna have a second one, or the last one, pointed somewhere at my torso here. That's pretty much the gist of what I'm trying to achieve today. Install this bad boy, make sure I'm extra safe and ready for comp school. inside now. We're gonna figure out exactly where we're gonna mount the fire bottle. I've got the bracket right here. And as you guys can see, the floor isn't perfectly flat. It's got all these ridges, which I'm sure are there to increase the rigidity of the floor. Luckily, all the mounting points, the tabs, land evenly on top of these ridges. So I don't have to worry about, you know, one mounting point being too low, one mounting point being too high. You can see that if I place the mount on here, these holes right here, these two line up with this ridge here, and then these two other holes line up with this ridge over here. I'm gonna utilize these vibration dampers. My one worry is that these studs aren't gonna be long enough. I believe they're 3/4 of an inch long. So going up into the bracket, clearly not an issue because it's gonna go right up through the bracket like so. If I can do this with one hand here. And then we're just gonna put, you know, a nut on top with the lock washer, make sure that's secure. We'll see if that works. What I'm gonna do now is essentially just line this bad boy up where I want to mount it. I'm gonna mark the holes and I'm gonna drill through, and that way we can at least then mount these rubber isolators onto the bracket and set it through the holes and see how much of the stud is sticking out from the bottom end. If they don't have enough length, then I'm gonna have to resort to maybe just using a regular bolt and getting rid of the rubber isolator, which I think should be okay if I can figure out a way to get like some rubber gasket under there, something like that, to reduce some of the vibration going to the fire bottle itself. Let's go ahead and test this out and see what happens. I got the holes drilled. I've got the vibration dampers installed onto the bracket. So essentially the stud coming up above that is a washer, then a lock washer, and then a locking nut on top of that. So that's gonna be 100% sure that this thing isn't gonna come loose. And then the moment of truth is going under the car and checking out to see if the studs have enough length coming out from the bottom. So get under there. I got my phone under there already to provide some light. But I think we might be safe. Then again, remember, we still have to put a plate, and it looks like the floor kind of bows a little bit too. So I think the plate itself, once I start tightening it down, is gonna conform to the shape of the floor. But that should be okay. But as long as I can get that started, I think we should be okay. Let's figure out where we're gonna place these nozzles. I went ahead and bought these fire suppression nozzle brackets. Most likely gonna bend these in a 90. I think I kind of figured out where I would like the two nozzles in the passenger compartment here. You want one nozzle pointed at your feet, and then you want another nozzle pointed at your torso, your midriff. I think what I'm gonna do for the footwell nozzle, I'm gonna bend a 90 in this bracket, and I just point it right here at my feet, probably a little bit towards the back, a little bit like that. And then the second one, I'm probably gonna mount on this brace right here, and I'm gonna point it at my torso right here. So it's gonna go a little bit higher. I might put a slight bend in here. That way I can get it angled at my torso. These are already drilled for an M6 bolt, as you can see, and two smaller holes if you wanted to rivet it in. But I've got a bunch of M6 hardware, so that's what I'm gonna do. What I'm gonna do is mount all my nozzles in place where I want them. And then after that, all I have to do is route lines to them. And then that should be it for the nozzles. And after that, then let's go ahead and install the pull cables after that. So right now, everything is mounted where it needs to be. It's just a matter of now just running the lines. from the extinguisher, the fire bottle, to all the nozzles. And then we're gonna utilize all of these T's that are in the kit here. There's also one bulkhead connector in there as well. I may or may not use that. But for right now, I'm pretty much just gonna start running these lines. I am finally done routing these lines to the nozzles. That was very, very time consuming. This is pretty much the first part, as you can see, right off from the fire bottle here. Goes on, and I got all these Adel clamps, P-clamps, holding the hose down. I've got 2 T's here because it needs to break off to the 2 different nozzles. So I got the one nozzle that's pointed towards my feet, and then it goes down a little farther, another T, with the one going up to the nozzle that's gonna be pointed at my torso. And then this line continues to go up on the firewall, and there's a small clamp back there holding that hose on. And then it actually goes up into where the HVAC originally would go. I've removed the cowl up here, and this is where it actually ends up coming up. So then I have another T here, and then of course it's held on by more of these P-clamps. So it keeps all of this rigid. And then I have a bulkhead connector. I wish it came with 2, but it only came with 1. The one bulkhead connector goes through and goes to this nozzle right here. And then from that, going back to that T, it goes all the way down the wiper cowl. So it's nice and hidden. Again, more clamps on the way there. And then there's this big hole here. I believe that hole is there for the original wiper motor wiring harness. I have it set up such that it's not even touching any of the metal at all. The P-clamp there is holding it nice and sturdy, and then it's not even touching anything, going straight through the hole. Then I have another P-clamp right here. So it just pretty much just hovers through this. And then it winds around to another T, and the T goes off to the other nozzle that's on the driver's side shock tower. Going back to that T, you follow it up, more P-clamps to hold it nice and sturdy. Comes all the way down, another P-clamp there, and then right to the nozzle, which is right down here. I know it's a little hard to see, but a little blue guy right there. I thought I was actually gonna run out of hose. This is as much as I have left. I have maybe 1.5 feet left. I do have to cover it with this fireproof sheeting here, but that's probably gonna be for a different day because I need to get going to at least installing the 1 pull cable that I'm gonna put on the center console. But I can definitely pick up putting the secondary pull cable, adding that at a different time. It shouldn't take too long. But yeah, I'll go ahead and get that pull cable bolted up.
A few moments later.
All right, pretty much got the 1 cable routed. Yeah, I also used some smaller P-clamps, so using the same holes as the actual hose from the extinguisher from the fire bottle. And then just kind of wraps around. Got about 10 mil of slack as they request. This is nice and solid. That's the slack there. Still pulls nice and smooth. Well, that's gonna pretty much do it for this video. The car is getting closer and closer to be ready for comp school. basically race trim, fire suppression, window net, all that stuff. I'll go ahead and finish up the rest of the fire suppression, maybe in a couple weeks. But that's pretty much gonna do it for this video. So if you liked it, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you guys wanna stay up to date with the race car and comp school that's coming up at the end of March, I'm so excited for that. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And if you guys would like to share the video, it definitely helps out the channel. But until next time, stay safe, stay smooth. I'll see you guys in the next video.